Okay.
Crazy tonight. You see it? Oh, I see it.
I am too.
You know what? We are working on stuff that we need.
You can't tell me now.
Been through it together. We need to continue. See Lee yet?
What I need from you is your. I gave you some. I told you. You know what?
You're talking about sit here, then I'll switch back for you.
No, it.
No, hey, no, it ain't. Yeah, you know me, man. There's nobody. I'm going to the Bahamas every other week.
Who's there? You're right.
For a week.
I know what you're saying. I know exactly what you're saying.
Is that a house full?
I have no idea.
A lot of them are for the here for the.
Oh, gosh.
But don't announce it. We're being discreet.
Church lady's going to the Italian produce place, and the owner's there Sunday. The owner's there. He's got a cigar on Joe.
They're, no. They're for.
He's tired. Sir,
okay.
Oh, okay. He looks at him and he says,
He doesn't know. We're trying to keep it a secret. Because if they read it, they weren't supposed to read. Nobody's supposed to tell them. Oh, we can't do much about that. Okay, we don't know why. He did say it's okay. Yeah, Madam Chair. I've got the agenda motion. I have the agenda motion. I've got it.
This one's such not a good one. Hold on.
That's okay.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
No, it was in our box.
oh, you got to do it, man. You got to force the issue.
Hey.
Over there and how?
Yeah, we did.
So this is the old.
So this is, I got the new one here.
Oh.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to call the meeting to order. Mr. Clerk, would you please take roll call?
Dave Abdallah.
Here.
Bill Bazzi.
Here.
Robert Constant. Here. Lisa Hicks Slayton.
Here.
Denise Malinowski Maxwell.
Here.
Ray Muscat.
Here.
Tom Wenzel.
Here.
Madam Chair, you have a quorum.
Thank you. Tonight, I'd like to have Lisa Oshansky lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Please be seated. First order of business we have is the oath of office, and it will be administered to Councilman Dave Wassam Abdallah, Councilwoman Lisa Hicks Clayton, and Councilman Ray Muscat, who were re-elected on the November 5th, 2019 election. Please step up, and we have Judge... Oh, there you are.
Do we do this all at one time, or?
However you guys want to do it.
Individually, proud. You're the judge.
Make this one.
Here comes the
One time where I have to.
You can do it.
Do it all at once.
Yeah.
So up to you guys.
This is the same office.
I say your name, please. I
I, Raymond Muscat Abdallah,
do solemnly swear and affirm
do solemnly swear and affirm
to support the Constitution of the United States,
to support the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the State of Michigan,
the Constitution of the State of Michigan,
and the ordinances in and for the City of Dearborn Heights,
and the ordinances in and for the City of Dearborn Heights,
and to faithfully perform the duty
and faithfully perform the duty
of the office of Dearborn Heights City Council
of the office of Dearborn Heights City Council
according to the best of my abilities.
according to the best of my abilities,
So help me God.
so help me God.
Congratulations.
Excuse me.
Okay. Next, we have State of Michigan and City of Dearborn Heights tribute presentation honoring Mike Mackey and Hamid Mahmoud.
Front and center, gentlemen.
Who's going to present the city ones?
I would do one at a time first up.
Yeah.
Please, thank you.
Alrighty. Good evening. Special tribute honoring Ahmed Big Red Hamoud. Let it be known, it is a privilege and honor to recognize Ahmed Big Red Hamoud for his sustained community involvement and leadership. Ahmed has exemplified the irreplaceable attributes of leadership and guidance through his role as a youth football coach to the Dearborn Heights Raiders. While fulfilling the responsibilities and roles as a youth football coach, Ahmed has touched the lives of hundreds of children and some of our own kids. It is community members such as Ahmed whom exemplified the impact of leadership and community participation daily through his role as a as a youth football coach. It is a great privilege and honor to present this tribute recognizing the sustained dedication, efforts, and leadership of Ahmed through his role as a youth football coach of the Dearborn Heights Raiders. In special tribute, therefore, this document is signed and dedicated to recognize and honor Ahmed for his commitment to public service and leadership. This is from State Senator Betty Jean Alexander, 5th District, Garland Gilchrist II, Lieutenant Governor, and Gretchen Whitmer, Governor, from the 100 Legislator at Lansing, November the 20th, 2019.
On behalf of all the residents of the city of Dearborn Heights, I want to give you this certificate. On behalf of all of the elected officials in Dearborn Heights, thank you for what you do for the kids.
Thank you very much.
You're the best.
Ahmed Mike Mackey, congratulations. Let it be known that sometimes we look upon the stars and dream. We wish for well-being, love, success, health, wealth, and a plethora of additional things. But what we sometimes forget to see are the stars right in front of you and me that decorate our lives and act as a luminescent candle lighting the path at night. So today is the day we give tribute to those beautiful people who are stars in our lives. There are countless people who have contributed to our lives, too far and too many to mention. In particular, we are here to give thanks to a man who is a star in the lives of thousands of children. I'm honored to have the opportunity to recognize Ahmed Mike Mackey for his leadership and guidance as a youth football coach for the Dearborn Heights Raiders. Mike touches all of us as he guides, mentors, and impacts the lives of our children. His dedication as a football coach not only impacts our children on the field, but also follows when they set off to sail in life. Our community is impacted deeply by his hard work, sweat, countless hours of coaching, and the love he pours into our kids. We would like to thank and bless him. In special tribute, therefore, this document is signed and dedicated to Ahmed Mike Mackey for his tireless commitment to public service and the passion he shares for his community. This is signed by Senator Betty Jean Alexander, the 5th District, Garland Grill Chris II, Lieutenant Governor, State Representative Jewel Jones, Gretchen Whitmer, Governor. Here you go. Congratulations.
Mike, on behalf of all the residents of the city of Dearborn Heights, we want to acknowledge all your efforts that you do for the community. So on behalf of all the elected officials, I want to present this certificate to you. Congratulations.
Okay. Next item on the agenda is the agenda approval.
Madam Chair.
Councilwoman Hicks Clayton.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Move to approve the order of business December 10th, 2019, regular meeting of the Dearborn Heights City Council, and we just want to note that item 12A, there's a corrective backup that is in the council members' mailboxes, so hopefully they have that with them this evening. All right.
Second.
Or by Councilman Bazey. Is there any discussion?
Madam Chair,
Mayor?
is this regarding, because we have to file the audit report with the state by the end of the year, so is that what the 12A is?
That's the updated letter from the
Fee summary.
comptroller, because she originally gave us 2019 instead of 2020, 2020, I mean.
She originally gave us something via email, and then the councilwoman saying there was something added in our
Madam
It's
Chair,
the
if I may,
approval of the
for
audit.
It's not the audit, it's the summary of the fee schedule.
Okay, we
Is
need, it's
correctly dated.
important that this body approve and
Yes.
give
Well, it's
us
on here.
permission.
Yes, yep,
It's 9D.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, no, okay.
but it is on here. It is
It
item
is-
9N.
9N, yes.
9M.
That's the audit report.
Yes,
Oh, okay.
yep.
'Cause it- Oh, okay, I didn't see
9N
that.
is the audit report.
All right. Is there any discussion?
That's the wrong agenda. Do we have it?
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the ayes have it.
Sorry.
Next on the agenda is the approval of the minutes. This is the minutes from the regular meeting of November 26, 2019.
Madam Chair,
Councilman Abdullah?
I move that we approve the minutes from November 26, 2019, regular meeting of the Dearborn Heights City Council as outlined in item 4A.
Support.
Supported by Councilman Muscat. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. Next, we have public hearing and comment on agenda items only. You come up to the podium and speak for 2 minutes.
I'm going to speak on item 11B. Once again, council is trying to create doubt over regular city business items. In response to some of the inaccuracies, I would like council to realize that this ordinance was originally brought up over a pension issue that had potentially negative effects on city employees who wish to continue employment after he or she became eligible for a full unreduced retirement benefit. In addition, similar ordinances and practices are not only common in other cities and businesses, but actually save the pension system and therefore the taxpayers money. When I leave the city, the pension will continue to pay my pension benefits and then be responsible for paying any future mayor's salary, health care, and pension benefits as well. With this ordinance, the city is saving the additional health care costs and pension contribution. This is why the language was voted on by the council in 2016 and why the same language was included in subsequent contracts. I know that this resolution, as well as the continued attacks, are driven to get me to step down as mayor and allow your body to choose a new mayor. I would like to remind the council that I won my reelection. I have a long-standing relationship with the city of Dearborn Heights and would like to further remind council that they do not represent the majority of citizens. Furthermore, your motives are clear and violate your fiduciary duty at the city's expressed in the charter. Nevertheless, I would welcome an attorney general opinion to your accusations to put this issue to bed once and for all. Furthermore, I'd like to see the AG opinion on the continued violations of the Open Meetings Act by this council body, the continued disregard, ignorance, and fiduciary negligence over the city's finances, the constant disrespect towards city employees, residents, and contractors, and the embarrassing behavior that the majority of this council excludes at almost every council meeting.
Thank you. Any further public hearing and comment on agenda items?
Good evening. Dana Parrish, Dearborn Heights. I've been a member of the city for 58 years and 10 months. Now you know how old I am. I'm going to speak on 11B. I have the opposite opinion. My opinion is that I don't see how,
I'm
as
sorry.
the last
Could you
person-
please close the door back there? There's too much noise in the hallway. Thank you. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
That's all right, man. I don't see as the last remaining person who's receiving a benefit by receiving a pension and a $90,000+ a year job in addition to that pension, how the residents of the city of Dearborn Heights are benefiting as a whole. If you're saying because the pension is paying your health care benefits, I don't see that that's an offset to your receiving both paychecks at the same time. When most residents in this city aren't making even the kind of money that you're making on your pension, sir, I don't see that this is a benefit to the residents of Dearborn Heights at all. Thank you very much, ma'am.
Thank you. Okay, we're still on public hearing and comment on agenda items. Is there any more comments this time? Oh, go ahead.
At the same item, Zuhair Abdulhaq. The state law is clear that any ordinance written has to benefit the public, not one person or two persons. That ordinance is definitely illegal, and if it is challenged in court, I can assure you, you will win it. And what was done, even, disgusting, that trying to give some other people 5 years of service credit when they signed papers stating they will never buy more than 3 years. They bought the 3 years, then he comes to you thinking that you are a bunch of, forgive me to say, ignorant, and he wants to slide it to give him 5 years. Please watch what's going on, because I don't trust this mayor. I have seen enough corruption from him over the last few years. Thank you.
Thank you. At this time, I'd like to move on to fund transfers and current claims.
We have one more comment.
One more.
You're on the clock, right?
Wait, so take
No,
it off?
I'm not charging for this.
3 minutes.
Gary Mayatki, Corporation Counsel, Plainfield Street. The comments with respect to this ordinance have all been addressed in an opinion that I sent over to all of you. My suggestion is if Mr. Parrish or Mr. Abdulhaq would like to end up knowing the content of that opinion, they should probably end up seeing it, and all of their issues are addressed. It's very clear that this ordinance was valid, and it's similar to any number of different ordinances that have been adopted by municipalities throughout the state to essentially provide for in-service retirement. And as explained in the opinion that I provided, these things save money. That is why they end up being adopted. So if the council wishes to share that, to address Mr. Parrish or Mr. Abdulhaq's concerns, I would note that this is a valid ordinance. And so far, when it's come to challenges to my opinions going to court, the record is pretty clear that the courts have found my opinions to end up being appropriate and correct. So I think the council should take that into consideration.
Madam Chair.
Thank you. We can't comment. Okay, next, we have fund transfers and current claims.
Madam Chair,
Councilman Constant?
I move that fund transfers and current claims numbers 1 through 36 be approved.
Support.
Supported by Councilman Abdullah. Is there any discussion?
Madam Chair.
Councilman Bazey?
Item 6.6 for the Cadillac asphalt work on Lewis Manor subdivision. I know in the past, not with this company, obviously, other companies that we had issues. I'm just curious if DPW or anybody inspected the work prior to this invoice.
Director Salmi, would you like to address that?
Yes, we have inspectors on site throughout the whole project through completion. The completion will be done in springtime. They're going to come back and do the change order for the handicap ramps.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
The second item, sorry, 621, you have the MMRMA. We have a few amounts here for different funding. It's coming out of, for example, the first one, $202,748. The second one, $52,799. The other one, $5,700, and the last one, $99,823. So I did calculate all of it, $361,000. I'm just wondering, how do we know that this actually goes into like this fund? Is there the breakdown, if that's the correct breakdown, is there something that we can look at to see if that, I mean, for that particular fund, just want to make sure that we have the...
That is a cost allocation that's been determined in prior years, the percentages of, that's our liability insurance bill. So we're still currently using the cost allocation that we've had for many years, but we are in the process of updating those like the Plant Moran recommended, but that's what it's based off of, the cost allocation.
Okay, thank you. The item for the attorney fees on, get that here, 622. Oh, not 622, sorry, next one, 623. I see a lot of expenses here for personnel matters, litigation, investigation. Again, you know, I mean, I know I asked that before, if that has to go into a study session. You know, we do have contracts and with the employees. I don't know why we keep seeing these issues. And I did request that a few meetings back, or a few months, or even a year back, that we need to see what these are before we approve them. I'm sure we're not going to talk about it tonight since it's a personnel matter, but there's a bunch of them in here. The other one, 629, there was some charges for subpoena, and I don't know why we're being charged for subpoena records, since we're asking the mayor to provide this information, the council. So I don't know why we're being charged this excessive amount for subpoena. I don't know what that is. It says subpoena records relating to council matters. There's a few entries on 629.
Council Chair?
Corporate Counsel Miyake?
Yes, Mr. Roberts and his firm addressed the subpoena. The mayor was given the subpoena by the council chair in his official capacity. I did not feel comfortable addressing the subpoena because a similar subpoena may have been sent to me and to the city clerk. So I delegated to Mr. Roberts the task of addressing the subpoena.
Madam Chair,
Councilman Abdullah?
So I had a couple of questions. The first one is a simple one on 621, under the same one that Councilman Bazey brought up with the 4 different amounts of insurance. In it, it doesn't state, this is for the controller, if you could answer that, if you don't mind. It doesn't state the specific amounts and who specifically it goes towards. Are you able to provide that to us, if you don't mind? So if you look at the amounts without having to repeat them, I'll repeat them either way.
Break it down, so.
Comptroller?
101,200 is the general government. 101,440 is the DPW. 738 is the library. 592 is the water fund.
Okay, thank you. I had another question. This one is for our council attorney, Gary Miyake. On 623, one of the charges had some concerns for me, honestly. The amount seemed to be a little on the excessive end, and I'm sure you'll have an answer for it. So with that being the case, I'd like to hear that answer. This would be on 623, and the amount charged was on 11/3 of 2019. There's a complete draft of proposed purchase agreement for the Fenton properties, draft email to emergency manager Gavin. And this was the one that, if I'm not mistaken, was the one that we approved at the last council meeting, if I'm not mistaken. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. So the amount on there was 5 hours and 5.4 hours at an amount of $756 to draft a purchase agreement. And I just wanted you to clarify it for me. It seemed definitely on the excessive end to draft a purchase agreement. So unless I'm missing something, because that's something I do for a living, and I'm not suggesting that I do it, obviously, but it takes much less than 5.5 hours or 5 hours and 40 minutes. So with that being the case, do you mind explaining to us why such a drastic amount on that, if you don't mind?
Well, I don't know that it's a drastic amount. This is kind of an involved, strange kind of thing where I ended up having to review all of the information pertaining to this, because this was not just a matter of purchasing, it was a matter of trying to make sure that we had everything together. And then I had to end up sending Mr. Gavin an email that I thought needed to address some of these issues as well. So that was contemporaneous time that was spent with respect to that. And I don't think that it was excessive. If I was just working from a general form as opposed to drafting something pretty much brand new, I might look at it differently, but that's not what I was
But
doing.
what I'm trying to get at is, was there, okay, so I remember at the time there was 3 lots. Is that correct?
That is correct.
3 different lots. So most of the time you'll have, pre-drafted, it's somewhat of a generic purchase agreement, and you make the changes on that.
But that's not what we had here.
Okay. And that's,
I mean,
and again, I'm not accusing, I'm just trying to get an explanation, if you don't mind.
Well, basically the point is that we had to put in a lot more language about why we couldn't end up doing things per the CAP program like we were supposed to end up being able to do per the CAP program, because the properties were not actually appropriate under the CAP program. So we had to do things that take us out of that program and eliminate all of the obligations under the CAP program, and then restore them with the understanding that it is a different type of situation. In other words, originally under the CAP program, they were only supposed to get properties that were appropriate for rehab. This put it back into the CAP program and made sure that the properties were all appropriate for rehab, even though they weren't, because altogether they had to be brought in to end up being appropriate for rehab. So to clarify again, because I think I'm not necessarily being clear on the point. Point is that the properties were not appropriate for rehab. They were not necessarily appropriate for the program. We therefore ended up having the agreement that would end up making sure that they would all be brought in and made part of the CAP program, combined and also subject to all of the different requirements of the CAP program, which were all explicitly stated in the purchase agreement. So it was a matter of going through all of the CAP program documents and being able to incorporate all the things that were required to comply with the CAP program. That was part of what was very time consuming.
Okay, thank you. And then the last question was on 625. Let's go to that. On that particular one, this would be the one with personnel assessment, and this was with our director, Sabota, I'm sorry. Wondering on the amount there, $6,000 for 2 exams seemed to be a little on the excessive end, at least from my perspective. And again, just for clarification, I'm not making an accusation, I'm just trying to get a clarification.
Well, we're in the wrong business. Test writing is a very expensive business. This is actually the most reasonable test company that we've used. Our contracts, so the police, in this case, the police contracts, dictate that we have to use some customized Dearborn Heights material to get those test questions written, and then we pick textbooks. We get a person to write a 100-question exam, and so we have a subject expert on that. He reviews it, we administer the exam, and then he turns around and does the scoring, handles any challenges. There's always challenges on questions. So this actually is the most reasonable. We've spent $10,000, $5,000. So this was 2 exams, one for your deputy police chief, and the other one was for lieutenant, and there's going to be lots more coming.
Okay, thank you, Director.
Council Chair.
Councilman Muscat.
More of a statement than a question on these these items here on that the water department pays, and we're given a generic number of $1,165,402.56. And we were explained it's because this council did not approve a water budget, so they had nothing to go to. But I want to make it clear that minutes of April 9th, 2019, motion 19-122, motion by Councilwoman Hicks Clayton, seconded by myself, Councilman Muscat, to adopt a 2018-2019 water budget and include that a 10% decrease in water rates as outlined in 8A. We passed a water budget, and every time we were told this body did not pass a water budget, the wheels up here were grinding like they needed a whole tube of grease. And I finally found it. We passed a water budget. These numbers need to be corrected before we can even pay anything. How do you pay something when you don't know what's in the bank and what's in the budget? It was passed. There's no denying. Here are the minutes.
But what you just read was from July 1st, 2018 to June 30th, 2019.
A budget wasn't brought to us after that. A budget was never proposed to this council after that.
That is true.
Okay, so then it's not the council didn't approve it. It wasn't given to us. So that's not our fault. And I do understand that an enterprise fund does not need to have a budget from what I understanding according to the state. But to make accusations that this council didn't fulfill their fiduciary duties is wrong. We did, and nothing was ever implemented with that budget right there. So that's my statement, and these numbers need to be corrected immediately.
Thank you. Any further discussion?
Chair.
Councilman Wenzel?
I have 610, a question for Director Haddad. It's an allocation reimbursement for the Dad's Club, District 7 Dad's Club football program. It was $20 a resident. I believe that used to be $25. Is there a reason why it went down?
That's for baseball. It was $25. It was $20 that was budgeted back before I was even here. I looked back at the budget and made sure it was $20 because I double checked it myself. I'm sorry.
It was $20 last year?
Yeah. Well, I don't know about last year. I'm just saying what was budgeted for it.
I believe it was $25 last year. All right, thank you.
Okay, any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
No.
No.
Okay, let's take a poll. Councilman Muscat?
No.
Councilman Constant?
Yes.
Councilman Bazey?
No.
Malinowski Maxwell? No. Councilman Abdullah?
Yes.
Councilwoman Hicks Clayton?
No.
Councilman Wenzel?
No.
It fails.
There is not another council meeting till January. How do we pay our vendors?
Well, I tell you what, these numbers that we kept getting have got to be corrected for me to approve these, or pull all the water ones out and approve the rest. Because I just took an oath here to uphold this, and now you want me to go against it. I just got done doing that.
We got to quit you can't have the audience participate this way. But the
I'm
second
sorry,
thing-
this is a city council
It's true,
meeting,
it's true.
and I'm going to allow it to go as it is, because
Let's keep it
now
down.
we've caused
Right, let's
more
keep it
problems.
down.
So, yeah, let's try and hold it quiet in the audience so we can conduct business up here and proceed.
But Madam Chair, you know that I talked to you about the fact that we wanted to present the water budget at this particular meeting. And we have not had an opportunity to make that presentation. So we are prepared. We've spent a lot of time before Thanksgiving to be ready to give you that budget. So
Okay, Mayor, you know why the water budget was not presented today, because it was more important that we do the Plant Moran audit before the end of the year. We do have a deadline with that. We did not with the water budget, because I did talk to Martin about that. And you know the reason why we didn't do it last week is because the cameras were not here, and we wanted the public to see the presentation. So it's not city council that did this. We have 4 cameras and 2 cameramen, or 2 camera people. Why couldn't we have 1 camera here? I know you had it at the meeting you had, but this is city business, and we should have had the other one here, too.
Well, I don't want to get in an argument with you, but I thought the week before the Christmas, that would have been good for the audit presentation and have the water presentation or vice versa tonight.
I'm sorry it didn't work out that way.
Council Chair,
Councilman Muscat.
who made the motion to approve this? If Councilwoman Hicks Clayton?
No, it wasn't, but I was going to make another motion. I made it.
Okay, let Council.
I would
To
make it-
amend the motion, just to get rid of the water ones until we get that number corrected, and then pay the other bills, and then bring those ones back after they've been corrected.
Did
What do
you
you
want to
think?
change that,
You wanna
Councilman
change that?
Constant?
Yeah, or Councilman Musk can make the motion. Which ones, let's
We
read
have
off
to-
which ones those are.
To read out.
Madam Chair, because we already voted on that, I've gone through, I can make a new
Okay,
motion.
let's let Councilwoman Hicks Clayton make the motion.
All right, so Madam Chair, move to approve, and I'm going to number them off for everybody. These are non-water related: 6-1, 6-4, 6-6, 6-7, 6-10, 6-11, 6-12, 6-14, 6-15, 6-17.
Slow down, please.
I'm sorry. I'll give you my notes.
Let's start over again.
All right, so again, approve, 6-1, 6-4, 6-6, 6-7, 6-10, 6-11, 6-12, 6-14, 6-15, 6-17, 6-18, 6-19, 6-20, 6-21, 6-23, 6-24, 6-25, 6-26, 6-28, 6-29, 6-30, 6-31, 6-32, 6-33, 6-34, and 6-36.
Okay.
Approve those for
Do I
payment.
hear a second?
May I add something to that?
Director Salmi?
So, item 6.3 and 6,
Oh, I'm sorry, 622, you're correct.
well, 6.3 and 6.35 are the old Orchard Pond. That was an approved contract. Trustee or Councilman Muscat was asking about the balance on those funds, where the city put in $250,000 and the rest of the money was coming from a tax levy. We awarded that contract for $550,000.
He's correct.
Year to date, we have spent, with these 2 items on there, $360,947. So I'd ask that those be included in that pay item.
Sorry, which items are those again?
That'd be
Claim number?
6.3 and 6.35.
6.3, 6.35. We'll add those to payment, and also 6.22 should be noted to pay those. You have that? Thank you.
Support.
Supported by Councilman Bazey. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
No.
Councilman Abdullah is opposed. Next item on the agenda is consideration of bids. This is DPW Director Salmi, bid award, Parkland Park Concession Building Roof.
Madam Chair,
Councilman Abdullah.
I'm I'm requesting that we concur with Director John Selmy for the approval of the bid of the roof for the, at the Parkland Park Concession Building be awarded to Howell Construction Services LLC in an amount of $8,200 plus $1.50 per square foot of decking replacement as needed. Payment to be made upon successful completion of the job and return all bid bonds back to the unsuccessful bidders as outlined in item 7A.
Support.
Supported by Councilman Muscat. Is there any discussion?
Madam Chair.
Councilman Abdullah.
So I had some serious concerns in regards to this, I know, at the last meeting, and one of the things that I asked, I guess it's a problem I've got, or a challenge that I've got with the way government is run, quite honestly, because I know in the business world, it's just not the way I would do it, at least. And one of the concerns I had, there's always bidding out for projects, and I know I spoke with you about this, Director Selmy, a couple different times, and I want to make something clear. This is no reflection on you. This is a reflection of how government is run, and I have a problem with the way, for this particular type of stuff, the way it's run. So one of the things I talked to about, you mentioned, and it's always been done that way, so again, this is no reflection on you, that it's put out for bids, and after you get the bids back, we go ahead and pick typically the lowest bidder, and then we go with it. At the last council meeting, or the previous council meeting, I believe it was, the bids that came in were 11,000 something and 8,900 or 9,000 something for a roof job on something that you mentioned was about 1,700 square feet, and I had a concern. We put it back out for bids, and I mentioned at the time, the problem or the challenge that I've got with the way government is done is, why can't we make calls to people and say, look, local contractors who I always prefer to give the business to, come on in, bid on this. You mentioned they have to be insured and bonded. Getting a bond is not a major issue, and being insured, almost all of them are. With that being the case, we brought back two bids again, and it's $8,200 and $8,550, and the recommendation is to go with the $8,200. I still thought and felt this was a ridiculous amount of money. So with that being the case, I myself went out for my own personal bid, not me personally bidding it, but I contacted a roofer that I've used, and this is no promotion of that particular roofer or anything like that, but it's a roofer I've used many times in the past, Woligarski Roofing. I've used them many, many times in my business, and that's why I would do my business. I'd make calls to people instead of waiting for bids. And I said, can you go out there and bid this thing? And for those that may or may not know him, he's very reputable, local roofer, been in business, I think, 30, 40, 50, whatever it is, years. He's going to kill me when I say 50 years, but with that being the case, he came back with a bid, a written bid, and he said he could finish the job next week, and the amount is $5,280. That's a savings of almost $4,000. And again, this is no reflection on you, but I've always had a problem with just putting it out for bids on things that we have local contractors for, instead to just make a call and say, hey, put a bid in on this. This may not be the formal way of bidding, but we have $5,280, which personally, I'd love for the council, if we can, to approve either him or somebody else, but for much cheaper price.
And
Thank you.
mine is just a recommendation to the council, and
I get it.
they certainly can do as they choose. I don't know, if it's a good practice for me to be reaching out to people and calling them on bid projects, when you got a $1,500 threshold on, for me to be able to spend money, anything above $1,500, I have to come to the council and get approval. I think we had that conversation, you and I did, that, a lot of other, I won't say a lot of other, some other communities have a higher threshold where you have some flexibility to do those types of things, right? So the message I hear from this council, quite often is, we need to bid stuff, so, I just probably need a little bit more direction on how that kind of looks, right? I'm not opposed to it. I agree with you. I think that his price is high, but I'm trying to follow the policies and the procedures.
So to be able to do that, and I'm not sure if this would be the mayor that would answer us, or the council chair, I'm not sure, but maybe we should allow our director to have a threshold that's a little bit higher, subject to final council approval, which either way we'd approve any bids anyways. But to have you go out, and also me personally, I'm a little biased. I'd love to use local contractors as much as we can. Let's give the business to people in our city. And in this case, with $5,280, I mean, to me, that's savings of almost $4,000, which I think is a plus.
Okay, let's move forward on this.
Chair, the attorney has a question or comment.
I was just going to make a comment. We could revisit portions of the bidding ordinance if this body wanted to do so.
Madam Chair.
Councilman Bazey?
Yeah, with this, I mean, there'd be for us to contact different contractors, there'd be a conflict of interest, obviously. So I think the best way to handle it is, obviously, a lot of contractors, when they bid on jobs, they're not looking at every job that goes up for bid. You know, maybe the city can put on their website that they have this particular job coming up for the local contractors, and they can actually go and bid on it, or at least alert the local businesses that there's a contract or there's a bid out there somewhere, so they can be aware.
I believe there is a link on the website for things that are out to bid within the city right now. I believe that link's already there.
Okay, thank you. Any further discussion? Councilman Wenzel?
Since our last meeting where we decided to put it up for bids again, how many bids did you get?
2.
2.
And the price went up.
But I'm sorry, Council Chair.
Are you done?
Oh, I mean, I even posted on social media, and I thought for sure we'd get some bids on that. It's only 2 bids. I mean, there's got to be a different way of putting it out there, you know, for local companies or union companies to bid on some of these jobs.
I think there's plenty of work out there for people. There's less contractors nowadays, and, you know, this is not a big profit margin for somebody. Maybe for a local guy, I mean, I don't know why the local guys don't bid on it. I can't speak for them, you know, but we're advertising in the places that we're prescribed to do through the council and through the mayor and the locations where we advertise.
Thank you. Councilman Abdullah?
So, I don't know if you were trying to say something earlier, Council Gary. Is there a way for us to maybe give them a higher amount to be able to go out there and make calls on this? And I agree with Councilman Bazey. Of course, we won't be the ones as council people that make those types of calls, but I believe we should give them the opportunity to be able to do that to, again, not only get local bidders, but most importantly, save our taxpayers a lot of money.
Well, we ended up having a change in the city charter with regard to adopting an ordinance pursuant to the charter in order to end up doing the bidding procedure. So a lot of this is now set by the ordinance as opposed to by the charter. And therefore, if you wanted to revisit it, I mean, you could have like a study session, maybe bring some ideas and go from there in terms of what you think might work.
That sounds like a good idea. Okay.
Coming year.
All right.
But in the meantime, we have a piece of property here that has to get fixed.
Okay. At this time, is there any further discussion on 7A as it's been presented?
Council Chair, I mean,
Councilman Wenzel?
we're just voting on
7A.
The recommendation.
Yes, that's
And
what
then
that's
Councilman
what's on the
Abdullah
table right now.
suggested another, well, how can we do that?
That's
I
not
mean,
part of it. Right now, we are addressing what is before us, and we're not going to venture off on anything else. We do know there's another option, but that's not part of this
All right,
vote.
thank you, thank you.
But Council Chair, if we turn it down and get
Mm-hmm.
hypothetically him or anybody else to officially bid, then we could vote on it at that particular point.
Right, absolutely. That's what I'm trying to say.
Sure.
Right now, we have a motion on the table, and that is for the bid award to Parkland Park concession building roof as outlined in 7A.
Council Chair, I have one quick question for the
Sure,
director.
Councilman.
How critical is this job?
So the roof is leaking, and it is leaking into the electrical, the lights underneath the pavilion. So it's very critical, I would suggest.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Needs to get done.
Okay. At this time, any further discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
No.
No.
Councilman Adela and Councilwoman Hicks Clayton are opposed.
And Tom.
And Councilman Wenzel is opposed. It passes. Next item is under consideration of bids, the DPW Director Salmi bid award for the Eaton Senior Center boiler repair.
Madam Chair.
Councilwoman Hicks Clayton.
Move to approve and award the bid to Conti Corporation for $10,400 with possible addition costs not to exceed $18,200. Payment to be made upon successful completion of the repair, and return all bids bonds back to unsuccessful bidders as outlined in 7A.
Support by Councilman Bazey. Is there any discussion?
Council Chair?
Councilman Muscat.
How is this going to be paid? Doesn't tell us how it's going to be paid.
This will be paid out of the building maintenance fund.
Okay, thank you.
265 account.
Any further discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. Next, under reports from mayor, we have the moratorium on used car lots.
Madam Chair,
Councilman Abdullah.
I move that we concur with Mayor Dan Paletko in this particular assessment. The city's been getting many requests for used car lots along Van Born Road. A steering committee between the cities of Taylor and Dearborn Heights discussed this issue at their December 2nd, 2019 meeting, and they suggested the city of Taylor is also receiving similar requests and has instituted a moratorium on new used car lots, and they suggested that Dearborn Heights might want to consider a similar action, and similar with Tom Roscoe of Tifa, who's also recommended this. So therefore, they are recommending the city council issue a moratorium on used car lots in the city of Dearborn Heights effective December 10th, 2019, as outlined in item AA.
Support.
Supported by Councilman Muscat. Is there any discussion?
Madam Chair.
Councilman Muscat.
How long does the moratorium last? Make it long.
What the two communities are going to do is come up and have a joint planning and zoning requirements along Van Born that will match both Taylor and Dearborn Heights. So they want to have that all instituted by the end of June. Included in there will be restrictions on used car lots.
Perfect. Madam Chair.
Councilman Abdullah?
You next?
No, Councilwoman Hicks Clayton is next.
Thank you. It doesn't matter. All right, I just wanted to make a comment. I had served on this Southeast Michigan Council of Governments Economic Development Task Force and team, and we developed certain, like a toolkit for redevelopment of the business corridors, and also MEDC has a really good program, Redevelopment Ready Community. I will tell you, watching Van Born has been disappointing. I know it's a strong wording, but my question is, are we utilizing tools like that to really focus in on the deficiencies of that business corridor and maximizing on attracting to fill those
Now,
deficiencies?
Councilwoman, at this time, we have a motion on the floor.
I understand, but I'm asking a question related to the subject. It is directly related to the subject. It's about economic development.
Yes, I would suggest then that the moratorium actually have an expiration date of the end of June, just because moratorium should generally be for a certain specific period.
Make it till June 30th then.
June 30th, okay.
220.
Councilman Abdullah?
We didn't get a question. Did we get an answer or no? No answer to those resources? Or can I sit down with you?
Both communities have their planners there, and we're not, it might be proper to have a study session, because I could talk on it for the next 25 minutes, and maybe just have a separate session dealing with it.
Thank you.
I think would make more sense.
Yes.
Thank you.
Council Chair, we have to
Councilman
change.
Abdullah's next.
Okay.
Well, and that's pretty much answered. I mean, if we're going to have a study session, that's perfect. But I just want to point out something. In a perfect world, we've talked about this before, we'd have a beautiful mall there, we'd have a beautiful hospital there, maybe Ford Engineering or what have you. But the reality is the demand has not been there because the street does not look as nice as it should look. And some of the businesses have not been making as much money as they would like, and therefore we've been attracting maybe not as preferred businesses there as we'd like. But as soon as that's done, and I know that's been on the back burner, and hopefully that's going to happen pretty soon, I think it's going to help revitalize that particular thoroughfare.
The road is the primary. It's Wayne County Road, and both communities have already made the outreach to get the county to devote the resources. And we're looking at spending $1.8 million per mile along those roads.
Right. Okay, thank you. Councilman Muscat was next.
If we're going to vote on this and put a end to the moratorium, we're going to have to need to include that into the motion. So whoever made the motion.
Councilman Abdullah?
So I'd like to amend my motion to include in there that the moratorium will end on June 30th, 2020.
Support.
Supported by Councilman Muscat. Councilman Bazey?
I'm not comfortable voting yes on this one here because it's very vague. It doesn't say pro or con dealers on Van Born. And from few meetings back, we had numerous residents that actually came in here and voiced concerns about this particular topic. So before I vote on this yes, I'd like to find out more about the moratorium.
That's all I have.
Okay.
Chair?
Councilman Wenzel.
How does this affect license renewals for used car?
It wouldn't. It would, and you probably have the same feeling towards one. There's one that, in fact, I think it was next to your father's building, and they just cram cars in there like there's no tomorrow. And that one I'd like to eliminate. You can't go back and eliminate it. But where both communities are getting these, there's a couple empty strip malls, and people want to convert them into used car lots, and I don't think that's what we want at all along there.
Okay, thank you. Any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
No.
Councilman Bazey is opposed. Next item, under reports from mayor, we have appointment to the Commission on Aging.
Madam Chair,
Councilman Abdullah.
I move that we concur with Mayor Dan Paletko appointing Ms. Rose Tripepi of 44552 Lane, Dearborn Heights, 48125 to the Commission on Aging for the term ending April 22nd. And this would be as outlined in item 8B.
Support.
Support by Councilman Muscat. Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Council Chair?
Councilman?
I'm really good friends with Rose, and I don't know if it's proper for me to be voting on this. Is that?
It's proper. Yeah, you can.
You still can vote on it.
Yeah, you still can vote. There's not a financial conflict.
There's no financial gain. You only have to recuse yourself if there's a financial gain.
Volunteer.
Only if it benefits you.
Yeah, I'm on that commission, so. Hey, is there any further discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
No, no.
Councilman Bazey is
I'll vote no.
opposed. Councilman
Disappointment.
Hicks Clayton is no. Okay. Next item is under report from city officials. We have City Clerk Persevich, annual publication, amended notice of meetings.
Madam Chair,
Councilman Abdullah.
I move that we concur with our clerk in the office requesting City Council authorizing to publish the attached annual publication, amended notice of meetings as required under Public Act Number 267, Public Acts of 1976, as outlined in item 9A.
Support.
Support by Councilman Bazey. Is there any discussion?
Madam Chair,
Councilman Abdullah.
I had a question. I'm not sure I believe this would be for the mayor, because I believe a lot of the commissions start with you, but there's two commissions in there that there's one that I'm really concerned about. The first one is, why is the City Beautiful Commission not an active commission? I know it's an active commission in Dearborn, and I know, for myself, being a realtor, I know how excited a lot of residents feel about making their home beautiful and getting all kinds of awards, and it encourages residents to take care of their properties and make them as beautiful as ever. Why is that? At least appears to be completely shut down here. It says it's inactive. Do you know why that is?
Yeah, we had, when I became mayor, it was inactive. And then I met two women through the Garden Club who lived in Maxwell Military Hill subdivision. And they got 6 other members, and they went out, looked at Christmas decorations, gave certificates, and they were very active. Well, what's happened is a couple moved out of the city, there was a illness in a couple of them, and those that remained said, that person really ran the thing. I don't want to run it. I'd be willing to be a member. I just haven't had the people that had the interest, but if I'd love to resurrect.
I definitely think we should resurrect something like this because, it's great to have an ordinance department. I know Jack and his department do as good of a job as they could, and they do a great job. But we can't just penalize residents. Let's also, give kudos to residents that do a great job. And I personally would love to have you work on that, if you don't mind.
I will.
Thank you. And then there's another commission, I'm sorry. Another commission, and that one I didn't know much about it, but I'm curious as to why it's not active either. The Community and Cultural Relations Commission. And this is on the second page. It says it's also inactive.
That is another one that when the groups, people started to depart, it just became inactive.
then maybe we should add on our website that we're looking to get these two commissions moving again. I think it'd be a great idea on both of them, especially the City Beautiful Commission.
Yeah, I will do that. The one thing I want to do after first of the year is to get the Women's Commission to have their first meeting. I was actually looking, but with the holidays, it didn't work, and the first two we called. So that'll be my first one, and I'll work on these other two.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Chair.
Councilwoman Hicks Clayton.
Also, I had Commission on Women and Girls, but thank you for answering that, Mayor. Commission on Disability Concerns, which is a very important commission in my mind, is really inactive. It doesn't have any appointed members. I'd ask you, Mayor, to please consider appointments to get that commission up and running, because it does assess accessibility and important issues of that nature. And as a aging community, even not just for the elderly, but we also have, I forgot the percentage off the top of my head, of under the age of 18 that actually live with disabilities in our community. So I think this is very important to be cognizant of that and have that commission meet.
Okay, thank you. Any further discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. Next, we have Treasurer Riley, appointments to the General Government Pension Committee.
Council Chair. Go ahead.
Councilman Muscat?
Go ahead, Bob.
Go ahead.
I move council concur with Treasurer Riley to nominate Vince McCary and John Riley for the appointment for the Government Pension Committee that expires December 31st, 2019. Their terms will be from January 1st, 2020 till April 30th of 2020, and this would help keep everything smoothly running. They do a good job with that.
Support.
Support by Councilman Constant. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. Next, we have Treasurer Riley, appointments to the Central Wayne County Sanitation Authority Board.
Madam Chair.
You might want to go back to 9B.
Yeah, I think that it was only supposed to be Treasurer Riley through April 30th, 2020, and Vince McCary through
December 31st,
2021.
That's why I said it was outlined in
Yes,
9B.
I read that incorrectly.
Well, it says as outlined in 9B, which means
Okay.
that
Whatever it says
included
in
it.
here.
That's what it says in
Mr. Clerk, do you
9B.
need me to repeat that?
No, it was done correctly.
Well, Mr. Clerk is saying no, so I need
not.
to, he is the lead guy here.
Go ahead,
so,
then.
The pension board for Vince McCary is commencing January 1st, 2020, and expiring on December 31st, 2021. And for John Riley, from January 1st, 2020, until at least April 30th, 2020.
Unless he changes.
Outlined in 9B. Maybe I can talk him out of retirement.
Me too. Support.
Support by Councilman Constant. Is there any discussion?
Hey, Madam Chair, I think, did you say December 31st, 2020? I just want to make sure, because I think you said it's supposed to be 2021.
December 31st of 2021 for Vince
221.
McCary.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, is there any further discussion?
Thank you.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. Next, we have Treasurer Riley, appointments to the Central Wayne County Sanitation Authority Board.
Madam Chair.
Councilman Constant.
I move we concur with our Treasurer, John Riley II, and approve the appointments of John Riley as a delegate till at least April 30th, 2020, and Mayor Dan Pleco as alternate, with his term to expire December 31st. That's a typo.
Should be 220 here.
Yeah. Expire December 31st, 2020? 2021.
That's right, yeah.
As, 2021, as stated, with the correction to the first sentence as outlined in 9C.
Support.
Support by Councilman Abdullah. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the ayes have it. Next, we have Treasurer Riley retirement. His last day, and this is 9D, his last day should be stated as April 30th, 2020.
Madam Chair.
Councilwoman Hicks Clayton.
As much as I really don't want to do this, I will, out of respect, Mr. Riley. Move to accept the formal notification of John J. Riley II's resignation as the treasurer for the city of Dearborn Heights. Last day of the city will be April 30th, 2020, as submitted in 9D.
Support.
Support by Councilman Abdullah. Is there any discussion?
Madam Chair.
Madam Chair.
Councilwoman Hicks Clayton.
John, I wish you the very best. Thank you for serving our city. You really did a great job. You were very honest. We knew we could count on you, and you're a man of integrity, and you will be missed.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Madam Chair, just want to say thank you, John, for 26 years. Great service. Wished we had you much longer, but we respect your commitment to retiring. I wish I was in the same position, and I just want to say thank you.
Councilman Muscat?
Can't stop anybody from retiring, but I'm still voting no.
Oh, so we get enough on the whole
We can vote no, you guys.
We could table it, Council Chair.
Councilman Wenzel?
I'd like to read the last couple sentences in his letter. It says, "Mostly I'd like to thank the residents of Dearborn Heights for having confidence in me as their city treasurer. I just tried to do the best each day."
Here.
Councilman Constant?
Yeah, I'd like to thank John Riley both for his service as treasurer and his service to our community and JC's going way back, good fellows, and hope he changes his mind and it continues.
Can we vote an honorary no, just across the board? Make him stay?
Yeah.
Ooh.
No.
He worked hard for this privilege to be able to retire.
Selfish.
It is selfish.
Yeah, he deserves it. He's worked hard towards this
Yes.
goal.
Not fair to do to you.
Okay, any further discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Congratulations. Next item on the agenda is 20th District Court Chief Judge Turfy, the 20th District Court union employees, and the POAM tentative agreement.
Madam Chair?
Councilman Abdullah.
I move that we concur with Chief Judge David Turfy requesting to be placed on the agenda for Tuesday, December 10th, 2019, with regard to the tentative agreement between the 20th District Court union employees and the POAM, which covers the period of 7/1/2019 through 6/30/2022 for the council approval for ratification. And they are also requesting to be placed on the agenda for this Tuesday with regard to increases for the non-union employees. An administrative order is attached for our review as outlined in item 9E.
Support.
Support by Councilman Bazey. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. Next is 20th District Court Chief Judge Turfy, administrative order for the 20th District Court non-union employees.
Madam Chair.
Councilman Abdullah.
I move that we concur with Chief Judge David Turfy with the attached administrative order for the 20th District Court for non-union employees is being submitted for our consideration as outlined at item 9F.
Support.
Supported by Councilman Constant. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. Next, we have DPW Director Selmy, the CSO L43 Design Engineering Authorization.
Madam Chair.
Councilman Abdullah.
I move we concur with Director of Public Works, John Selmy, who has reviewed and concur with Wade Trim's letter dated November 4th, 2019, to update the CSO L43 sanitary and storm sewers separation design plans with the addition of water main replacement as outlined. I'm sorry, let me just continue on the rest of it. And then add the water main design, acquire the necessary permits for construction, and advertise for construction of bids in the amount not to exceed $96,000 as outlined in item 9G.
Support.
Supported by Councilman Constant. Is there any discussion?
Madam Chair.
Councilman Abdullah.
This is for Director Selmy. Oh, you knew we'd ask you something, right? Yeah. Okay. So on this thing, and I know I spoke to you about it, but I think just for the residents to get a little bit more information on this, you recommended that we also change the water main. One of the concerns, obviously, is going to be pretty big project. I mean, the initial projected cost here is $1.185 million. Can you give us a little more information on that and why you highly recommend it?
Yeah, so this is a mandated project. This is a combined sewer area where we need to separate the sewers, the sanitary from the storm. In that process, we're going to have the entire road tore up at that time. It's my recommendation to this council that while we're in there doing that work, that we would replace the water main at the same time, so that we're not going back there a second time tearing up roads. people's driveways, everything like that in a construction project. It does add a significant cost to the project, but at a proactive approach, I think it's the right thing to do. You heard from the auditors earlier today that we need to be more in tune with our water loss, and these are some of the steps that need to happen, in my opinion. That's my recommendation to the council.
Thank you.
Okay, Councilman Bazey?
On the second page, we have the breakdown for design package update. I think those numbers are a little excessive. You have the first one for $38,000. For construction administration costs, I don't know why it's $307,500. I think that's a bit excessive. What is the construction administration?
I'm going to defer to Dan.
That's our services during construction. Typically, depending on the size of the project, it runs from 8 to 10%. All right, so it's a calculated amount based on manpower.
I still don't understand. So 10%, what is the money going to? Weight trim or?
It's weight trim, and we do have some sub-consultants to do testing of the material.
So they get the design package update, whatever it has on here for the two different projects, the $38,000 and the $58,000. Then you have the construction administration for the first one is $307,000 and $147,000. They get both of them for the administration costs on top of the design work.
Right, what you're only approving right now is the design portion, the $96,000. All right, we can come back and refine that number if you want to.
If you can, have a breakdown of that construction administration cost for the next.
And if I could just add to that, so that's to finish these plans and get them ready to get out to bid. These are estimated numbers at this time. We're asking for authorization to finish the plan so we can get them to bid. This is one of the mandated projects by a regulatory agency that needs to be completed in 2020. So we want to get them done, get them on the street so we can, get that out there. Then we can revisit the weight trim.
Okay, thank you.
Charges.
Okay, before we go any further, I need to know who seconded this motion. The clerk's office needs to know.
I second it.
Okay, Councilman Muscat.
Another question, since this is a mandated project, and I know other communities have done this, can't we go out and get some grant money, or it's mandated by the federal government or from the state, or can we try to get some grant money to fix this? This is, any time that somebody's mandating you to do something, I think that comes along with some money.
Well, I don't know that there's any grant money out there. This is a budget that I came in when you recently hired me this past spring, that this was budgeted out of capital surplus that you had. On the other projects going forward, there is something called SRF, which is basically a bond that you take a loan from the state. But I think as we talk about the water budget, there's several other big projects, and in the big picture to do bonding for all those projects, because there's two more projects. Obviously, we got lead issues, we got meter challenges, so flat out grant, no repayment. I don't know that those are around anymore. There used to be in like maybe 9, 10, and 11 disadvantaged cities type things that were principal forgiveness, but I don't believe those are around anymore.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted to make it clear that, in my opinion, we should try to get some grant money since it is mandated, but.
Okay, thank you very much. Any further discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. Next item on the agenda is DPW Director Selmy, 2019 Water Main Replacement Program.
Madam Chair.
Councilman Constant?
I move that we concur with our DPW Director, John Selmy, upon the recommendation of Wade Trim, and approve the 2019 Water Main Replacement Program changes as outlined in 9H. I think the first sentence should say amend the contract instead of contact. Or misspelling.
Okay. Any further discussion?
Madam Chair?
Okay, you supported it, right?
Yeah.
Councilman Abdullah, support. Go ahead, Councilman.
So just for correction, Director, in the second sentence, it says the weight, I mean, just in case it's a technicality, but I'm just very detailed. Weight Trim's letter dated November 28th, and on Weight Trim's letters dated November 26th, so I don't want that to come back to haunt us.
That might be a typo.
No, I know it's a typo, but I'm
Typo
just
on
saying.
my part. I do my own letters, so.
No. I make much more typos than you do, trust me, but I'm just saying, just so that it doesn't come back to haunt us, we may want to correct it.
Hey,
Council Chair?
Councilman Muscat.
We talked to some, but I wasn't really, my mind wasn't into it this morning. I had a broken furnace that I was trying to repair when you called, and I apologize, it was cold.
No worries.
But I see this to extend a contract to D&D, but shouldn't we go out for bid? This is a lot of money.
So I've had a conversation with another council person regarding this matter, which is something we did very similar with Hard Rock for the concrete program. He's willing to hold his 2014 pricing, his unit pricing. I was at a meeting today with the DCC, which is the Downriver DPW directors, MDOT and Wayne County, and MDOT and their bid lettings right now are seeing price increases anywhere from 20 to 30%. So certainly it is the council's pleasure, whatever they want to do. This is my recommendation that he's going to hold pricing from 2014. He does, his work is effective, it's efficient, we don't have any issues with him, and he's willing to do that. But again, it's a recommendation on my behalf to the council.
Thank you.
Okay, any further discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Next item on the agenda is Emergency Manager Gavin, expansion and renovation of WDHT City TV Studios architect proposal.
Madam Chair?
Councilman Abdullah?
I move that we concur with Emergency Manager Director Lee Gavin with the proposal between the City of Dearborn Heights and Architectural Intelligence LLC to improve WDHT Studio. He is asking that City Council approve the attached proposal and authorize the mayor and city clerk to sign the agreement on behalf of the city as outlined in item 9E.
Support.
Supported by Councilman Constant. Corporal Council Miyake?
Yes, Council Chair. It should also be the proposal and the addendum. The addendum wasn't mentioned in the motion.
Okay.
It doesn't say it in here,
Not
so.
in our
Yeah, it
thing.
says attached proposal and addendum and
No,
authorized.
not on ours.
Yeah, it's not on ours.
Attach proposal and addendum and authorize the mayor and the city clerk to sign the agreement on behalf of the city. That's on mine here.
It doesn't say addendum, I'm reading it right here.
You're kidding.
Okay, no.
No, ours says
You're correct.
attached as a...
This was the previous one, so it's
Oh,
correct.
really?
Have it
Oh,
in there.
okay.
It's
All right.
actually in there.
Correct.
It's there.
Do we have to include that in on your motion?
Yep, it's right here, 9I. Want to read it again, just in case?
Please.
So I move that we concur with Lee Gavin, the Emergency Management Director, with a proposal and addendum between the City of Dearborn Heights and Architectural Intelligence LLC to improve the WDHT studio, asking the city to approve both the attached proposal and addendum and authorize the mayor and city clerk to sign the agreement on behalf of the city as outlined in item 9I.
Support.
Supported by Councilman Constant. Is there any discussion? Councilman Bazey?
Again, this keeps popping up. I don't know what keeps popping up on the agenda, because the last request we made is we need to get a forensic audit, find out where the money that for the studio that was allocated, the $900 plus something thousand, and just the budget prior that we had, the mayor had a concern that we didn't have money to upgrade the equipment for the cameras, and all of a sudden this money popped up just a few months later. So we do need a forensic audit before we approve anything for this studio, just to make sure where this money came from, didn't come from the water fund or anything else. So I'm voting no on this because of that.
Council Chair?
Councilman Muscat?
My thing is with this, we never totally discussed on where this is going to go in, and I see they put in here where it's going to go. This is going to upset a tremendous amount of seniors.
Absolutely.
On how they're going to do this at Berwyn. Okay? And my other concern is, since this is a studio, and Berwyn is a senior place and CDBG, does this even qualify to be there without having to pay rent to CDBG? That's a concern that needs to be looked at, and I'm not happy to make seniors unhappy. We've never really got together to say, hey, this is a good thing to do or where to do it. I think this room should be it, right here. Let's upgrade this from the 18th century to the 21st century.
Madam Chair.
Okay, Emergency Manager Gavin, I got a question for you. When you say you're expanding this, is this going into the pool room next door?
We're getting a couple quotes, one with that going in there and one just using the facility, the 2 rooms that we have now.
Because I can say I'm definitely against even going into the pool room. I know how those seniors are passionate about that room, and I will not ever support anything taking that pool room away from them.
Madam Chair.
Councilwoman Hicks Clayton?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I agree where, I'm all for a new studio and upgrades because our equipment is absolutely aging and antiquated. But I have concerns about this proposal and taking away an activity room at the Berwyn Senior Center. And my last recollection is that it was going to come back to us in a study session for more discussion before we got to this bridge, and I don't recall that. So I would rather see us have that discussion.
Would too.
I'm not comfortable voting right now on this.
Abdullah?
So I just want to clarify. So I spoke with Siham Jafer, and she mentioned in regards to the billiards room, it's going to be replaced with another room. So the seniors will not be losing on any room. It's just an exchange of room. It was much more convenient to use the billiards room, which was right next to the studio.
Councilman?
May I
I also went there.
Councilman Muscat, go ahead.
I also went there, and the room that they want to put them in, you can't use a pool stick up against the wall. These guys want to play real pool, okay? I mean, if you want to, I've seen it. You can't shoot pool with your pool stick hitting the wall, okay? To me, it's a senior citizens area. I mean, it counts for something. Heck, I'm one. Okay?
I am too.
And we've got a few individuals telling everybody where it's going to go. I think everybody should have an input on where it goes.
Yes. I actually agree with you, Councilman Muscat, that it should be in this room. Here is where we could benefit most from the upgrades. It would be a win-win situation for everybody, because this room is so old.
We're still using overheads, for God's sakes, okay, on a screen. It reminds me when I was in grade school. But, not to say that it has to go in this room, but to have 1 or 2 people make the decision of where it goes is totally wrong without involving the seniors and the people that actually work there.
Madam Chair, I agree. Citizen engagement, where's our seniors? Why aren't they part of this as well?
I mean, they pay a lot of money to cable.
Then maybe we need to move this to a
Council Chair,
study session.
we've been dealing with this over 6 months. If you guys want to put it on agenda, come up with another location, okay. You complain that the video equipment isn't here or at your council meeting. Our equipment is old. You can ask Stan. We're on borrowed time. So once it goes down, we won't be filming anything.
We've been on borrowed time for 10 years that I know of.
Let's get something done.
Okay.
Let's move forward. You guys are the council. You talk, let's get something done.
Please speak.
You could have done that 10 years ago yourself. You know, this is ridiculous.
May I make a statement,
Don't
please?
have money, don't have money.
Excuse me, let her make a statement.
First and foremost, we would never, ever do anything that would displace our seniors. They are very, very important to us, and we definitely want to maintain their home and maintain the activities that they do. And I am very proud that a lot of seniors watch WDHT TV, so this is sort of a win-win situation. The pool room that we thought we could utilize would definitely be moved to the Goodfellows, and we already made arrangements for that to happen. If we don't use the pool room, that's fine as well. But at this point, as former Chief Gavin had stated, we are on definitely borrowed time. We cannot bring people into the studio anymore because our equipment doesn't work. The voice is terrible. So whether we move forward with this project, it is advantageous for the city and for the fact that the show is out there. It shows what we do here in the city, and it highlights it highlights the city council, it highlights the different activities, and it brings people information about what is happening throughout Metro Detroit. So I find it very, very, very challenging to try to continue to have this studio and have some kind of quality filming without equipment. Stan and Angela have really tried to tape things together and make things work so we can continue to operate. But at this point, we cannot. And all we want to do this evening is to get an approval for an architect to come in and show us what is possible and what is not. And this has taken over 6-7 months now, and we are totally at a standstill. And if this is something that the council wants us to deal with, to be at a standstill, then that's what I guess we have to do.
Okay, thank you. All right, at this point, we do have a motion on the table. We ready to take a vote on it?
I just had one more comment, that's all.
Well, let's take a vote on it.
Council Chair?
If it's not going to make a difference in the vote. Councilman Wenzel?
It was brought up at a prior meeting that we were going to go to a study session on this.
So we do have a motion on the table. We need to vote on this motion before we can move forward on anything else. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
No.
No. Councilman Abdullah is the only aye.
Council Chair?
Councilman Muscat?
A study session is required for this, and we need to have people come voice their opinion. We also have a building at Beach Daily and Inkster, or Beach Daily and Michigan Avenue, that we wanted to go in and take a look. I think Councilman Wenzel tried to set it up for us to go there and look, and we were denied access. Okay? That's our building. It's not somebody else's building. It belongs to the residents of the city. And we should have been able to go in there and look around to see if there's a suitable place for it, because from what I understand, there's plenty of room at the Justice Center to build a studio.
Madam Chair.
Councilwoman Hicks Clayton?
You know what? Honestly, I don't appreciate the comment that the council wants it to come to a standstill. I don't think anybody at this table feels that way. What we want is a study session that we had discussed, and so therefore, I would like to make a motion to move this to study session, schedule a date, let's promote this, include our residents, have the discussion, so we can move forward as a community.
Okay.
I support that motion.
Supported by Councilman Muscat. Is there any discussion?
Is there a date certain? Could you include in your motion a date
I
certain?
can't, well, you do the schedule.
According to scheduling. I'll look to see the first
Scheduling.
available meeting after the new year that we have time.
But absolutely, I think it should be as soon as possible, please.
That was planning on it. I just got to look and see what we got waiting on the list for January, because we do have some other items that are more important that are time sensitive. Okay, is there any further discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Ayes have it. We'll move it to a study session. Next item on the agenda is Human Resource Director Sabota Perry, 6055/6056, reporting assistance.
Council Chair?
Councilman Muscat.
I move that council concur with Elizabeth Silva Perry, our Human Resources Director, to once again retain Plant Moran Group Benefits Advisor and a sublease with HCM to file and implement reporting provisions as outlined in 9J.
Support.
Supported by Councilman Abdullah. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. Next, we have Police Motorola Service Agreement.
Madam Chair,
Councilman Constant.
I move that we concur with our now former Police Chief Dan Voltatorni and renew our service agreement with Motorola as outlined in 9K.
Support.
Supported by Councilman Bazey. Is there any discussion?
I think we need
not now.
to have Mayor Paletko to sign the memos.
Authorize the mayor and
second.
whoever else necessary to sign as outlined in 9K.
Support.
Supported by Councilman Bazey. Is there any discussion? Any discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. Next, we have police request to purchase and pay police vehicle.
Madam Chair,
Councilman Abdullah.
I move that we concur with former Police Chief Dan Valtortoni requesting requesting authorization to purchase and pay for the following 5 2020 Ford Interceptor utility all-wheel drive patrol vehicles at $32,989 each, and 2 2020 Police Ford Interceptor utility all-wheel drive administrative, I believe is that administrative, ADMIN?
OWD.
I'm sorry?
Correct.
Okay. Administrative vehicles at $34,139 each. All prices are per the Macomb County bid price. The total cost for the 7 vehicles is $233,223. And this was put in this year's budget in capital outlay, and he is requesting authorization for payment upon delivery as outlined in item 9L.
Support.
Supported by Councilman Muscat.
Madam Chair. I'm sorry.
Any discussion?
Madam Chair.
Councilman Abdullah.
So this is for the police chief, the current police chief. Just for clarification, administration vehicles, I just want to make sure this is for police administration vehicles and not mayor, et cetera.
No, these vehicles are actually police vehicles. They're just not fully marked vehicles, and they're considered administrative. That's the title that they give to them.
It'll be used by the police department specifically.
Correct. For example, the last vehicle that was an administrative vehicle is now in our traffic unit. You might have seen it, the gray one that we put into service that is utilized.
I've not seen it, luckily.
Hopefully you don't.
Okay, thank you.
Madam Chair.
Councilman Bazey.
Chief, this question's for you. Sorry, drag you back up there.
Sure.
So the 5 vehicles, they're coded for $32,989, correct? They have codes on them?
I'm sorry, they have what on
Lights
them?
and siren codes?
No, the vehicles become, when we get them, we assemble them. And that's why we've been utilizing the Ford Police Interceptors, because that's what most of our fleet is now, so then we transfer everything over into that. So that is for the base model of the vehicle. The 2020 Interceptors are top of the line.
Okay, so for the second one that we have for the admin vehicle, there's a difference in price between $32,000 to $34,000. Is there a reason why the admin vehicles are more expensive?
They're a more stripped down model, or I shouldn't say more stripped down, they're an unmarked vehicle. They come in different colors, but we do utilize them and can rotate them into the fleet. We can put cages in them. They're a police interceptor vehicle, but they don't have the cages in them and stuff like that, which we will put into them at a later time.
Yeah, I mean, I'm up for upgrading vehicles. I just want to make a comment. You know, the mayor misled. I just hate when I appreciate when he doesn't mislead the council, because at the last meeting I mentioned when I saw invoices for chargers that had high excessive miles over 140,000, and I mentioned how come we don't upgrade them, and the mayor said that you guys prefer chargers. So I mean, I'm for this here.
It's taken out of context.
Yeah, I just hope that we're not misled anymore. Thank you.
Any further discussion? I'm sorry. Any further discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. Next, we have police request for approval for payment to Motorola Solutions.
Madam Chair.
Councilwoman Hicks Clayton.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Move to concur with Police Chief Michael Petrie and approve the payment for Motorola Solutions for portable radios which were purchased in 2018, amount not to exceed $19,369.49 as outlined in 9M.
Support.
Support by Councilman Bazey. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. Next, we have Comptroller Vance, the fiscal year 2018 to 2019 financial statement audit report.
Council Chair,
Councilman Muscat.
I move we adopt the Plant Moran audit as submitted in 9N.
Support.
And refer it to
Support by Councilman Bazey.
file it with the state of Michigan.
Pardon me?
We need to also, you have to give us permission to file it with the state of Michigan.
Yes, and move forward to file it with the state of Michigan as outlined in 9N.
Supported by Councilman Bazey. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. Next item we have is Councilman Bazey, smoking lounges resolution.
Council Chair.
Councilman Bazey?
Move council to approve resolution, the City of Dearborn Heights has adopted ordinance number H19-06 dealing with smoking lounges. The city council determined that it was the best interest of the city to extend the de facto temporary license to continue operating for an additional period of 120 days following the expiration date and from the initial 180 days provided for section 8-66/A to the 7 businesses as outlined in 11A.
Support.
Support by Councilman Muscat. Is there any discussion? All those in
Madam
favor?
Chair, I'm sorry, Madam Chair.
Councilwoman Hicks Clayton.
So according to this, these existing 7 businesses are the only ones that can operate, correct?
Yes.
And that would be as hookah lounge. So any other business that is operating as a hookah lounge is in violation,
Correct.
which would mean that our police ordinance would have to come in and enforcement, correct?
Correct.
All right, thank you.
Okay, any further discussion?
Council Chair.
Council Miyake?
Yes, I was just wondering if Mr. Clark had an opportunity to review this for...
It's been on agenda for a week.
I don't know if, because I haven't, because as I've indicated before, Mr. Roberts and I have taken an opinion which keeps us from being able to review this. I was just wondering if Mr. Clark, who basically was the attorney who's supposed to be handling this, had any input into this resolution.
Okay, any further discussion?
I don't think he did.
Any further discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. Next item, we have Councilman Bazey and Councilwoman Hicks Clayton, ordinance H-16-06, request for legal opinion resolution.
Council Chair.
Councilman Bazey.
I move the city council to approve this resolution, City of Dearborn Heights ordinance number H-16-06, section 2-239, program for select employees providing for in-service distribution of normal retirement benefits, allows for select employee and elected official to receive pension benefits without having to resign from their elected seat or employment as elected officials to continue receiving salaries / employment compensation at the same time. The City Council authorizes the presiding chairwoman to seek legal assistance according to the charter to prepare and submit ASAP a request for legal opinion from the Michigan Attorney General on the legality of ordinance number H-16-06, section 239, and the possibility remedy if found to be in violation of an applicable laws and regulations in amount not to exceed $5,000 from fiscal year 2019 council legal fund as outlined in 11B.
Support.
Support by Councilwoman Hicks Clayton. Is there any discussion?
Madam Chair,
Councilman Constant.
just a comment that I think either a state representative or senator has to request an attorney general opinion. I'm sure that might be a possibility, but I don't know that it can come from the council directly.
Madam Chair, I believe
Councilwoman
there's
Hicks
been
Clayton.
precedent set under Attorney General Cox, which is what this is based on, and it is for a legal opinion letter from the top attorney in the state of Michigan, because the question is public policy should be exactly that, public policy that benefits the public.
Okay, any further
Madam Chair.
discussion? Councilman Abdullah.
So the authors of this, just for clarification, is Councilwoman, I'm sorry, Lisa Hicks Clayton and Councilman Bazey, but sprinkled throughout this thing is the words majority. And I've got a challenge and a problem with that, because that type of a word implies that there was a vote on this. There's been no vote on this, so therefore, I think to put in there throughout, I mean, sprinkled throughout this thing, to put the words majority in there, I think personally is wrong, because that's an automatic vote by us as a council. And I think from a legal, I don't want to use the words legal because I'm not an attorney, but I do read enough contracts all day. That's the wrong implication on there, because that's automatically pre-voted on when it shouldn't be. So personally, I'd like to have something like that struck out of that. That's one. Two, I do have a problem, if we need to look into this and look into the legalities of this, I have no problem with that, because if it's illegal, we, due respect, Mr. Mayor, we scratch it out if it's illegal. If it's legal, we do what we need to do. But the second problem I've got with this thing is the amount capping at $5,000. Although I do respect and know she'll make a great decision, our council chair, I do have a problem with, or a challenge with one person making a decision on our behalf up to the amount of $5,000. Because whenever something like this needs to be done, and I've checked with a couple different attorneys, the cost should be, and I'm just throwing a number out there, 500, 1,000, maybe even 1,500. So I'd like, if we are going to go with this, I'd like to have the words majority stricken out, and I'd like to have the cap at $2,000, please. Thank you.
Madam Chair.
Councilman Constant?
Well, and I just would comment that the point about the council chair with the concurrence of the council picking, but again, it's, if for an attorney general opinion, you have to have a state rep or state senator request it. I'm sure one of our state reps or state senators could do that, and it's a lengthy process.
Yeah, see, I didn't realize that you were asking me to do this, so at this point, do we want to redo it where the majority?
I can make a motion I can amend the motion to remove the majority, and we can lower the amount to not exceed $2,000.
With council concurrence.
With council concurrence.
That is, if I can do it, we may need someone else to put it in, because if I can't do it, I'm not going to.
Council Chair, once again, the decision in terms of any sort of assistance should end up basically being made by the council as a body, not by the council chair. And essentially, obviously, the council chair could reach out to people and then come back with some sort of a proposal, but there should not end up being anything authorizing the chair to get the legal assistance to prepare and submit a request for a legal opinion. It should end up basically being a resolution from this body, or perhaps we have a special legal counsel, if actually even need be. I'm kind of under the impression that this could be submitted potentially over to the AG's office without needing to necessarily have
any money.
Exactly.
Okay, any further discussion?
Well, Madam Chair.
Councilman Abdullah?
But with that, Council, remember the verbiage in here is up to $2,000. So if you submit it to the AG's office, it could be zero, and it would still be below the $2,000.
I could call over to the AG's office, confirm what they consider to be the process, and then report back to you with regard to that process, and then you could end up seeing whether or not you even need legal counsel. You might just pass a resolution and pass it on to a state representative or state senator to essentially end up submitting it over to the Attorney General's office without having to potentially pay.
Right, but it's only, but again, it's up to $2,000. So the word up to doesn't automatically mean that she has to hire a counsel, doesn't automatically mean that she has to use the $2,000.
Okay, Councilman Bazey?
Again, I mean, due all respect to the counsel, the attorney, there's conflict of interest for you to even contact anybody regarding this ordinance since you wrote the original one.
I don't see that there would be in this situation. I have no problem with it going over to the Attorney General. I expect that the Attorney General would say that there's not a problem with the ordinance.
Okay.
Madam Council Chair, one more. I think we were correct. I remember speaking with former State Senator David Kniezek about situations like this, and he said you have to go through a state rep or a state senator to go to the Attorney General. They will not look at anything without one of those two people submitting it.
Madam Chair?
Councilman Constant?
So yeah, in that regard, I mean, so we're free now, any of us or as a body, to make that request of a state rep or state senator, on our own, but, we can vote on the resolution.
Madam Chair, I'm going to add to that I think we should take the vote, because if the council needs to vote, right, on this and say, yes, we want an opinion letter from the Attorney General, and then, yes, we go through the proper channels, and that includes going to our state senator, our state representative, as their liaisons are here today, and we can address that, but we need the vote on the resolution first and have the vote from every member on their position.
So that we can actually say if it's a majority or not.
So we can now get the process going.
But are we removing, just for clarification as to what we're voting on, are we removing the words majority?
That's what I said.
Yeah.
Amended
No, I know,
the motion.
it's amended,
It was
okay,
already
and
amended.
$2,000,
Yep,
okay.
that was amended.
Okay, as long as that majority is
Okay.
taken out.
Is there any further discussion?
You have that? Okay. Good.
You got it? Okay. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. Next, under communications, we have Plant and Moran, PLLC, proposed maximum fee summary. And that was updated letter from the comptroller.
Is this a receipt note and file?
No, you got Council Chair, I move that we approve the maximum fee schedule set by Plant Moran as outlined in 12A.
Support.
Supported by Councilman Constant. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. Next, we open up to comments from council members at the table.
Madam Chair.
Councilman Constant? Councilman Wenzel?
I would like the chair to set up a study session or a committee on a charter review.
Yeah, I'm going
First part of
to.
the
I already
year.
planned on that.
And also a study session on the bid ordinance we discussed with Director Salmi. And also, me and my family were at the Dearborn Heights tree lighting ceremony last week. Had a really good time. Well, it was a nice little thing that the golf course is a very nice venue. The staff there put on an excellent job. The food, the games, everybody, the recreation department did a fantastic job. Also, I noticed when we were there that they had a golf simulator that I didn't know they had. And that's something that a lot of golfers are really interested in, and from my understanding, they may be putting one or two more in really soon. True? Yeah, so that's something that we should publicize, because a lot of golfers out there, they'd love to come in and do a golf simulator, and I didn't even know that we had one there, and not to mention that there may be even one or two more put in. So they're doing a great job there at the golf course, and I'd like to congratulate Mike Mackey and Ahmed Hamoud for their... Big Red, what they do for the city and the youth of the Dearborn Heights. And congratulate Lisa, Dave, and Ray on your re-election. Good job, guys.
Thank you.
And Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays to everybody.
Thank you. Okay.
Council Chair.
Councilman Muscat?
I got a few things here. I got phone calls today from some residents that have their trash pickup day on a Friday. They keep getting missed. It's rampant all over the place. And then they got to keep them for the next day or the following, past the weekend. And they're getting pretty upset with the way the trash pickup is going. And like I said before, I remember when the owner of GFL came down from Toronto to pitch his deal with us. We need to have him come back here and listen to what the residents are saying about his services. Plus, and I try to explain this, and I'm not going to throw our DPW crews under the fire here, and I try to explain to everybody that our street sweepers don't pick up leaves. They're not designed for that. And but some people are saying, well, their trash pickup is on Friday, but yet their streets are being swept on Tuesdays and Wednesdays when everybody's got their car parked in the street and they can't clean the streets properly. I don't know how, I tell them I don't see the schedule, how they do it. I do know that I've complained to the DPW to try to get as much leaves up as they can and clean the streets, and I know they're overtaxed, but I would be remiss if I didn't say that. And one other thing, people on Mayburn Street have been complaining about the high rate of speed coming up and down on Mayburn Street. Something's got to be done with these speeding. I guess they've called to request a sign out there to say what your speed is, and I can't say for sure who they talked to, but I'm going to ask our police chief if he can do something on Mayburn Street there by Telegraph, there by the school, to keep a watchful eye on the speeders. That I also had an incident that happened to me this past week with people picking their children up at Star Academy. A young gentleman, a school-aged person himself, driving his pickup truck, parking across the street in a no parking, no standing zone, and waving his little kids to come across the street to get into the vehicle, and they almost got hit by a car. We can't have that. Matter of fact, it was me that almost hit the little girl, and it was I was shook up quite a bit, and the gentleman in the car just looked at me and said, F off. So I reported it to the school, but we need to do something about the way people are driving around the schools. And,
go ahead.
And I know there's going to be someone speaking again later on about an incident that happened at their home, about the utility companies just walking into yards and looking into homes, and if there's anything we can do about it, but I'm going to let him carry the ball. I don't want to steal his thunder.
Thank you. Any further?
Piggyback on something.
Wait a minute, let me give that, Councilman Constant? We'll come back.
Thank you, Council Chair. I'd like to congratulate our Councilwoman Lisa Hicks Clayton, Councilman Ray Muscat, and Councilman Dave Abdullah on the re-election, and the Dearborn Heights Goodfellows on another great year. Our annual paper sale was this last weekend. We raised over $31,000 for money for families for the holidays. Police department came in first. They have the advantage of having sirens and being at the corner. And but our Kiwanis Club and the family of former Councilwoman Marge Horvath, that corner came in second and came ahead of the fire department, which came in third. Our current president is our fire chief, Dave Brogan. So a great job by everyone, all the volunteers. Chief Logan, John Riley, the work done on the Goodfellows.
Okay, Councilwoman Hicks Clayton.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Real quick for the follow-up on what Councilman Muscat was talking about with GFL and MIST. We've had a study session on that before where we reviewed those numbers, and people haven't been necessarily calling in reporting, so it's really important they contact DPW, correct? 791-6000 when they're missed, so that can be logged, so we can get an accurate picture on what that missed looks like. But also for the administration, with the GFL contract, there's a clause in there that where they miss, we're supposed to be able to find them, correct? Are we doing that at this point?
No.
Okay, because it might be something, to consider, because we've been with them, how many years now? 3 years, I think, or maybe more, but certainly that contract has that in there, and that might be something to consider. And again, our residents should be calling in when they are missed, so that can be logged and properly, tracked. Now, I have several residents have concerns with the Heights Shopping Plaza and the lights, or lack of. They're not turning the lights on at night after, I guess, some hours or what's going on. So I just wanted to bring that to the administration. Maybe that's something that they can have with the plaza owner, especially in particular because human trafficking is a concern of public safety. So lighting is important to deterring crime. The last thing I have, Madam Chair, is, again, thank you to all of our residents for supporting Councilman Muscat, Councilman Abdullah, and myself on re-election. And for those who are here tonight that came out and watched us take our recommitment, our oath of office, I did bring cookies tonight for you all. So after here, the meeting, you want a cookie, come on up. It's a way of saying thank you to you all. We really appreciate the opportunity to serve our community.
Also, too, Mr. Mayor, I thought we were going to have a GFL study session in January. Didn't we agree on that?
You told me January 14th, and I have asked...
That's why I'm kind of confused.
Yeah.
January 14th, we will be having a study session in regards to GFL. Mayor and I had discussed that openly in a meeting a few weeks ago.
Council Chair, just on piggyback for that the Heights Shopping Center, if our ordinance department or police can go over there and count the number of handicap parking spaces. We don't, I firmly believe we don't have enough handicap parking spaces there. They've taken away a few so they can have the pickup. People drive in to get their groceries picked up, and I see a lot of people with handicap stickers and license plates parking way out because they can't find a parking space.
Okay, thank you. Any further discussion? Councilman Abdullah.
So a couple things, just quickly. Just want to give kudos to the Recreation Department. I went to the tree lighting, just like a lot of us did, or all of us did. And I got to tell you, that's probably the best one I've seen in a long time. There they are. So good job for both of you guys. Especially the upstairs. That was just, I mean, just perfect. And then the Santa, that was the best, I'll just leave it at the best Santa I've ever seen.
That was Santa.
That's what I said. Well, the only Santa.
Only one
Okay.
Santa.
Right. It's great. Real good one. The second thing I just want to give kudos, and I know they were already congratulated tonight, but to Big Red and Mike Mackey. I mean, these two, I personally have seen them around kids for years and years and years and years and years.
How old are you?
Huh?
Years and years.
Well, my kids are 28 and 25 now. But anyways, they really go out of their way to look out for the young kids. So I just want to give them kudos again. Good job as always. Good job.
Councilman Wenzel.
What I was going to bring up was the January 14th. I think that's our next meeting, actually, isn't it? And I just want the public to know that there will be a representative from GFL here. Maybe we'll start the meeting, have a special meeting a half hour before or something, let the people...
Well, we're going to have a study session that day.
Okay.
And our new hours are going to be starting at 7 p.m. instead of 8 p.m. for our regular meeting starting in January.
So the study session would be at 6 or 6:30?
It would have to be earlier than 7 p.m.
Just keep
Because our
an
new
ای open
hours will
for
be
that
starting at
study
7
session.
p.m. to help, because they run late, and I know some people, the directors, it's hard on them to go home at this time of night and have to come back the next day. And waiting between the quitting time of 5 o'clock to 8 o'clock is a long time, especially for the ones that live a long distance. They really can't go home and come back. So that was part of our reason, and also making it more accessible to the seniors to be able to come out at an earlier time. Any further discussion? Okay, let's open it up now to public announcements.
Council Chair, can I just ask a question before we get to that? So just, can I get some direction on what needs to happen to get the vendors paid between now and the next council meeting? Because that's over 30 days. Is there something that I can do to provide the council information, get some direction on how to go forward with this? Because they're going to be calling me, and I'm not comfortable saying I don't know. So if
No,
I could
I
get some
do believe
direction.
that this falls on the comptroller's office in regards to not having it up to date as we had requested. So that's where you might want to refer them.
So, but there's not going to be another meeting before the 10th, so basically I'm to tell the vendors that they are not going to get paid until the next council meeting. I don't want to throw anybody under the bus here.
Get an email on the amount of money. Let's fix the numbers, and
It's falling on the comptroller's office right now, and that's where they should be directed if they've got issues, because we've been asking for it for a long time.
I understand it, but I'm trying to help out here and get the vendors that I work with paid, because when I need something, they're there for me, and when they're not going to get paid, then that's going to create some heartburn for myself and for the city.
I understand.
So that's why I'm asking.
I know, but council has spoke on that, and they're pretty adamant on getting the numbers, and they've been asking for several meetings now, and have been told they're not going to do it. So at this time, this is where we've gotten.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so I need clarification then.
Is there a way that if we were provided with those numbers, that we could do something really quick?
We would have to have another meeting to take a vote, and we would have to announce it and set it up, and publicize it. and it would end up on Christmas Eve.
I agree with the director. I mean, if we can get this resolved, I'd like to get this resolved.
It would end up on Christmas Eve. That would be our next scheduled one.
Do we have to do it on a Tuesday?
It could be a special meeting, it could be any day.
Let's, first of all, we don't even have the numbers to begin announcing a special meeting.
Okay.
Yeah.
Until we have that, there's nothing, it's not even worth talking about.
I need clarification. What numbers do you need? Because we need a budget, so as soon as the study session and the budget is approved, then you'll have the numbers. The budget that was approved in April ended in June.
Councilman Muscat, would you like to
administration
comment on it?
Look, I'm not an accountant, CPA, or comptroller. All I know is we kept getting statements with nothing on it. Now I'm getting a generic number of 1 million. And how much money does the whole water department have? It's more than $1 million. It's a lot more than $1 million. Give me proper numbers and subtract of what we pay out from that number. No different than when you write a check at home to a store or a grocery store, you deduct that number from the amount of money you have in your bank. That's all I want.
Madam Chair.
Councilwoman Hicks Clayton.
So what I'm hearing is we don't have the water budget approved for 2019, 2020. That's where the holdup, that's why you don't have your numbers, and that's why these claims didn't get approved. So in reality, that falls back, correct me if I'm wrong, the administration to bring the budget to us.
We wanted to meet for the last month and a half.
And then we need to vote on it, and then we need to get it approved, and then you can do your part, and then we can approve the
And I can
claims.
put
So we need a
those numbers
special meeting
into the
probably.
system, and it'll have a budget, yeah. So I can't provide numbers until this council approves the budget.
Yeah, we need a special meeting, Madam Chair, for that, because that's got to probably be done. It's not fair to the vendors. Yep.
Okay, any further discussion? Let's open it up to public announcements. Please limit it to 5 minutes. Okay, this is public announcements, and then we will have residents after, or comments after.
I feel so short when I'm speaking this. Good evening, Mayor and Council and residents of City of Dearborn Heights. I am the district liaison for the Senator Betty Jean Alexander. Hopefully you guys had a great holiday and Thanksgiving. Holiday greetings from our office. Coming off the Thanksgiving holiday and week, as we move into the Christmas holiday season, State Senator Betty Jean Alexander and her staff were honored and appreciated the opportunities to support and assist the communities of the 5th Senate District, partnering with local governments as well as nonprofit organizations, distributing hundreds of Thanksgiving turkeys to families. The current promises to be busy at the Lansing Capitol as Governor Whitmer and the legislature are working to finalize the budget before the holiday week. Senator